Here's Greg. Good to have you.
Hey,
Greg, where are you? You're at a show, Greg, somewhere.
IMMpact show.
Oh, look at you, hotty toddy. Well, we actually have 10 people on already. I put this on Greg, your Twitter, my Twitter, Aaron's Twitter, as well as our IMMpact page, as well as on LinkedIn pages. So some people may see it, but it'll be up and they can look at it later and it'll be there. But I just, this week I took over answering the emails to the contact list. We all need to take turns doing this because it's so much fun. And we had there's just a lot of crazy issues that come up. But there was a couple things I want to talk about. And of course, we've got just a bundle of things happening. But I wanted to talk first about the DV lottery case because Jesse is the white circle, in case you don't know who that is. That's Jesse in the white circle. He's like, Hal, open the Pods Bay doors, Hal. I can't do that. There he is. So the DV lottery case, really, really important to talk about today. Everybody knows we filed that last week. We got rid of the lead plaintiff who didn't tell us he was on another case. So he's gone. They haven't officially changed the name of the case yet, but it should be Chernak versus Department of State by the time they get that done. But we because there's another case on the exact same issues with the district court, we had to file on Monday a notice of related case, which we did. And then Monday night, Judge Ali sent a notice to us that because the other lawyers had already filed a preliminary injunction, if we wanted to participate in that, we needed to file one too by Friday.
That's not very long.
No, that's 3 days to put together I don't know how long the document's going to be. So we've spent a lot of hours today with a number of Jesse and I and Aaron working on it. And we'll get it filed by Friday. But I wanted to talk about that, but also to let you know, because of that, we were planning on filing the amended complaint and adding additional plaintiffs next Friday. But we have to do it this week. We have to do it Friday. We can't amend it after we file the PI, at least not easily. So we are, instead of cutting off new plaintiffs next week, we're cutting you off at midnight. I'm sorry. So if you're interested in joining the DV 2026 lottery case, you better get on right now and sign up tonight so that John can get your paragraphs. So we're going to amend the complaint by adding plaintiffs. We're not going to add anything else to the complaint at this point. Now, Jesse, I know you're walking, but you're kind of the brains here on this particular question. And that is related to why in our complaint we do not also attack the 75 country ban. There's a reason not to do them at the same time. Do you want to opine on that, Jesse, or do you want me to talk about it?
Well, I think it's definitely an issue, but we have to remove one barrier at a time. And not everybody in the case is subject to 2 or more bans. And I think it gets a lot confusing when you have to start splitting plaintiffs who are supposed to have the same interest and claims and attack different issues in particular cases. So it's the same to me as if somebody would have a criminal conviction that we would have to work around. We can't just take that issue. And I know it's another policy, but we have a case for that.
Right.
We have an alternative for that. So I think, when you join a case like this and it's directed at one thing, and one thing that's very important, because if we don't get the DV processing started, it doesn't really matter what other bans.
The ban doesn't matter, does it?
Apply. No.
Ban doesn't matter. So we've got to get this, and then for those people that don't need to worry about the ban, they'll move forward. And honestly, there's case law directly on point in this circuit, in this district. So I just don't see how Judge Ali goes around what is clearly well-established policy in this circuit, in this district. And then we'll worry about the 75 country bans, which we are attacking in other litigation. So for right now, we're going to be doing our PI a week earlier than we said we were, and amending the complaint a week earlier than we said we were, which I would imagine would put us probably for oral argument on this case, probably sometime near the end of April. Do you think that's about right, Jess? I mean, I have to go back and look at, Jesse kind of got frozen there. I have to go back and look at the timing in Curtis's case, but I suspect late April, early May, we'll have oral argument, which is way faster than we did it last time, back 5 years ago when we did the other bans. So there'll be plenty of time for the Department of State to process people. But unlike CIS, which said they were going to, they were pausing cases, this is a flat out stoppage at the Department of State. So we've got to attack that first and then get into it. So that's the first lawsuit. Greg, Zach, you've got other focuses right now. You want to add to that, to our lottery case?
No, I know what's going on, but
all right.
Yeah,
I'm
looking elsewhere right now.
I do want to just mention this case briefly because we're lawyers in the $100,000 fee case, but we're with a lot of other lawyers. But I've never worked with so many lawyers before. And if you think working with 25 lawyers is a lot of fun, you must be snorting coke because it's not a lot of fun.
Come on, Chuck.
No, we're working with really great lawyers. They're really fantastic lawyers, and it's just that to get that many lawyers to make a decision takes
It's the massive email chains where you have that many people. I mean, they're great lawyers, and actually, I'm really excited about being involved in that case. It's just it's just a lot as far as
Greg, my guesstimate on that case is we'll probably have a decision by the end of the month. That's my guess.
End of March. You think end of March we'll have a PI?
Well, the judge knows that the lottery occurred.
Or not. Or not.
Right? But it's the judge wanted to listen to the oral argument in the D.C. Circuit, which I thought went way better than the oral argument in the underlying court case.
Absolutely.
So I guess it just depends on what that one judge is going to do. But I feel pretty confident about that.
I think we're going to get a ruling in the next 7 days on that H-1B case. I can smell it.
I agree. I agree. All right. So that's the one thing. Let's talk now about the let's see if we can find it here. Just the F1 litigation, the visa revocation, because we're actively going on that too. For the F1 student visa revocation, these are the 158 Doe plaintiffs that we filed for last September. They got caught up in the government closing, and it got caught up in basically everybody quitting the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. And then it got caught up in Christmas. Then the judge basically gave the government forever to file an answer. They finally filed a motion to dismiss. We responded. They replied last Friday. And really great news for us is on Monday, in a case similar to ours, which was filed after ours, but was in Boston, the judge ruled that the motion to dismiss on this issue should be denied because it doesn't look like they have authority to do what they did. So today we are filing what's called a notice of supplemental authority with the federal court to let them know, hey, by the way, some other judge looked at this and she agrees with us. So we got that.
We did that in the H-1B case after the Supreme Court decision came down. I mean, that happens from time to time where there's something.
And I think that was a big deal. That was a big deal for us because that tariff case was very helpful in the H-1B case. Mm-hmm. Very helpful. So let's now jump to the case Zach has been leading us on, and that's the 39 country ban case. Let's pull that up here. So Zach, where are we on that one?
I could tell Chuck typed this banner.
Yeah, well, I am the world's worst typist, by the way.
We'll correct that title and come back to this. We had oral argument almost exactly 1 week ago in Atlanta. Went pretty well there. Let's see, there we go. There we go. Exactly 1 week ago in Atlanta. I think there, for folks who were in the call that we had on Sunday, we kind of talked through what the oral argument was like, and it went pretty well. Judge is really fair judge, tough on both us, tough on the government, had a lot of really good questions, and it's really seeming to do his homework to try to make a good decision here. One of the biggest things is this judge really seems to want to understand the underlying facts of everything. So with the government's assertion that there's going to be some new guidance issued on April 1st, which I have some doubts, I don't expect we're going to be really hearing anything until at least April 2nd. I mean, ideally here we get nothing on April 1st, and then April 2nd, the judge is like, well, okay, gave you a chance here, but we'll see what happens middle of next week. Maybe we get something, maybe we don't. Another, I guess, piece of this is there's a case that was filed, Barniap, I think is how you pronounce it, in Northern District of California. That was a mandamus case that got amended to add this benefits pause component to it. PI was approved for that. We sent it over to the judge, and this response to the PI saying, hey, look, another judge looked at this and decided to issue a PI. But apparently, we don't have the specific facts, but apparently the underlying individuals there, the individuals who are applying for their 485s got denials. Now, there's some suggestion that it might have been retaliatory. I don't know if that's true. What I really want everybody to understand is that retaliation for lawsuits is so incredibly unconstitutional. Like, it doesn't happen. Like, we really, really can emphasize to you, like, it's not something you need to be worried about if you're in a lawsuit. I've been getting emails for days now that from people who have sued USCIS or thought about suing USCIS, who are afraid that they're going to be retaliated against. They're going to have worse decisions in their cases. They're going to be treated harsher, things like that. That's not something for you to worry about. If this was retaliation, this is something that Curtis will handle, and it's going to be, an incredibly giant slap down from the judge. But it's not something that's going to happen in your case. So just don't be panicking about that. Don't be worried about that. It's when we get a PI and everybody starts getting decisions, it's not going to be
on that, by the way. I think this is just USCIS doing what they're told to do, which is find ways to deny every case in front of you. That is the new. You just understand that's the area we live in. Find ways to deny cases, and in this way, that particular case, at least one of them, they found a way because there was some inconsistency between what she had written in her declaration and whatever the adjustment was based on. Now, it appears to be a de minimis, way overreaching kind of decision, but that's the kind of decisions we're getting from USCIS today.
Yeah. And that's for decisions that, come from lawsuits and decisions that don't come from lawsuits. That's just, you file a 485 and that's how USCIS is handling it these days.
We're all seeing crazy stuff these days. Crazy.
Yeah, it's not necessarily retaliation for lawsuits. It's just kind of like a culture shift to USCIS as well.
Well, I'll give you a great example. We had somebody denied, some of our colleagues, not us, but one got a naturalization denied because 3 years ago, they had been ticketed for holding a cell phone in their hand while driving.
Oh my God.
Bad moral character there, let me tell you.
I wanted to say one thing about like this April 1 policy, because I think what they're going to try to do is what they try to do, and maybe what they try to do in like the Regents DACA case, where they try to offer better explanations after they started to get sued. And we're just going to have to come back and tell the judge like that. If they come and say, well, it's not really a pause, it's kind of like we're just making national security decisions and nobody's getting decisions, but it's not like a pause. It's the wrong word. I think we're going to have to use that case to say like that's a post hoc rationalization that you can't do. And as far as we're concerned, no cases are moving.
Well, you know
it's
what the
same
government
thing.
said in oral argument? They said, well, Judge, this is not supposed to be public guidance. This was just internal stuff, which apparently they released to everybody.
It was internal,
um,
except there was a policy alert. And,
Yeah, it's a policy. How can it be just internal if you're pausing all the cases? That's not internal.
Reading it out,
That
having a press
Christie-
conference about it.
Yeah, that Christie released on Twitter or what X or whatever, right? I mean,
Yep. So,
yeah,
I mean,
so it was
it's
internal.
many things. So, Zach, a follow-up on the 39 country ban is the current onboarding for a follow-up suit on the 39 country ban. Can you fill us in on that?
Right, that closes tomorrow, and we intend to file on Friday. So, I mean, it's not going to be incredibly different. We're challenging the same things. It's going to have some updated facts because it's been a bit since then. You know, we know that there was no guidance issued on the second, so we can say, hey, you know, they said that they're going to be doing all this stuff and they're not. So there's a lot of evidence that this is just an indefinite pause. And we'll get this filed. We don't know where yet. We need to know all of our plaintiffs to know the location that we're going to be filing this at. But you know, this you want to get onboarded. I think it closes midnight tomorrow, and then Friday we're filing.
I can tell you where we're not filing. We're not filing in Texas.
Not filing,
We're not filing in the Western District of Washington.
You know, I wanted to give two examples though, because I know people are freaked out because of like, you know, there was one denial, but I have 4 approvals now in individual pause cases. So, and I had a couple that went to their marriage-based adjustment yesterday, and I was concerned because she, you know, the beneficiary had some issues that were not connected to the pause. One was an overstay, and that could be an issue now. And she went in with her own counsel. I helped prep. I was telling the U.S. attorney, hey, you know, this looks good. No pause. They're going to get a decision. It was cool. It was cool. And so I think to Chuck's point and Zach's point, like and it's the same thing with the DV case. We can lift the pause, but if you have an 8th grade diploma, you're not getting a DV. Okay, you're just not, and it's the same. That's not. I'm not being negative over here. I'm just telling you the eligibility requirements. It's the same thing with an adjustment of status. If you submit a declaration, whether it's in our case or in a different case, or you're asked to submit a statement at your interview, just make sure it's consistent with what you said on any application or petition you've ever submitted, because they're going to review everything you've ever submitted. And that's what they're doing.
Well, they're going to use AI to compare them.
That's
too.
what I was just going to say. They can, and they're not just looking at those. They're looking at your entire history now with AI, and are looking for inconsistencies and things that you said years ago, not just things that you've said recently.
I mean, I saw one decision recently that I swear was written by AI.
Yeah, been getting RFPs from those for a while. Yeah. But one thing that I also want to mention, you know, there's a lot of people who will do 45s, go to interviews pro se, you know, on your own. You don't have an attorney and things like that. Sometimes it makes sense. You've got, you know, not a lot of funds, or you think you've got a straightforward case. These days, I think it's really important. You know, ever since January 20th of last year, I've been really emphasizing to people that, like, this is not the USCIS of 2022, 2023. This is one where it really can make a difference if you've got an attorney sitting next to you and they're able to point out, like, oh wait, you're you know, using the English word for a Persian entity. Of course, there's confusion here. Can you rephrase that question? Instead of there being some sort of real problem that comes up because the officer and you are being adversarial. So having that attorney next to you at these interviews, helping with petitions, I think it's really critical these days.
We had that exact issue, Zach, by the way, recently, where somebody gotten they had taken an interview with immigration at the airport, and the translator was Afghani speaking Persian, but she was Iranian Persian, and it's not the same language, and they don't use all the same words. And she got dinged, she got tossed, and rather than being able to come in because she couldn't defend herself. So if you have a chance to go to an interview, and you can bring a lawyer, You should 100% bring a lawyer. I didn't used to say that
Well,
ever. Oh, you're fine.
Now,
Not anymore.
here's the other thing I'm seeing, and public service announcement. Don't file a pro se mandamus.
Oh my God, no.
So many people out, they get a motion to dismiss. They want to reach out. I won't even schedule a consult with them. I'm not taking that case.
No.
I'm not jumping into your dumpster fire. That's just not what I'm doing. You need to solve that problem at the front end. And I would say when you're filing your applications, I used to tell people, hey, you N400 or whatever. I don't do it, but you should hire an attorney. And people now, if you answer something wrong, just pay the attorney. I mean, don't pay a notario. That's the other thing that's cropping up. All the predators are coming out of the woodwork. We see it all the time. So
I will tell you, judges hate pro se count. They hate doing those cases. They do. They just hate doing them. Don't do it.
We haven't seen notarios in detention centers now. It's I don't know how they got in, but trying to help
being detained.
To help out there. So it's a real
really terrible.
Yeah. So go with it. I'm with Chuck. I used to say, for some people, you don't necessarily need to have an attorney with you at the interview, but these days I'm saying it to everyone. You could have the cleanest case in the world, but you could have an officer who's I don't know, has the wrong file or something like that, and they're questioning you about things and end up sending you a request for evidence saying that you committed fraud or misrepresentation or whatever it is. And if you don't have that legal counsel there, it can ruin your chances of getting
Zach, the 75 country ban.
75 country ban. So that was filed middle March, 2 weeks ago, I think, exactly 2 weeks ago here. Moving forward here, we got a PI that we're putting together. It should be ready to go. For all of us by the end of the week and for weekend.
That was the goal initially before we had to prepare another one immediately by a judge's order, but I think
it's a nonstop flurry of PIs here. But next week I expect that we'll be filing the PI in the 75 country ban case. We're in DC right now. I think that we have gotten related to the other 75 country ban case. So that one's nothing.
Did we file that in DC? I forgot.
That's in DC.
As we should. Do you remember the judge that we have assigned to that case?
Can't remember the name of the judge. Sorry about that.
That's another case we had Tottenberg on.
This is an issue that there's so much case law out there that they just can't do this, and it's absurd. There's not even a presidential proclamation that they're falling back on. This is just Rubio's like, you know what?
I don't want to do
it.
I don't want to do it. We made a point as I was writing the PI today about this, that look, they want to be the Department of Future Crime. That's what they want to be. The Department of we call it pre-crime, right? You go back to the Minority Report movie. They want to be the Department of pre-crime. They want a consular officer to look into your eyes, into your history, and make a determination that you will never commit an offense of any kind in the United States. That's what their statement says, basically. They want, and if that's the basis, they will never issue visas again, right? Because you can't predict the future. You talk about, well, this guy committed a crime who came from Afghanistan 10 years ago. Okay.
Is that Philip Dick?
Maybe something happened in his life that changed him. We don't know, but you can't predict the future. And they say things like, well, in Nigeria, where everything's fake, so we don't know of who they really are. Well, that's not true. They're issuing visas for 80 years to Nigerians. Come on. This is an excuse. I can't wait for oral argument in this case.
I love the Philip Dick reference.
That's great. Department of Pre-Crime. I think we should actually go to oral argument dressed in the uniform of the Department of Pre-Crime. That would be totally awesome. Now I think we are onboarding for additional plaintiffs in the 75 country ban case. And that is going on for the next week or so. I think every other case will be done tomorrow. The DVAOS, Zach, the DVAOS case, or Jess, we're going to be filing that for the DV adjustment of status, folks. Somebody asked me today when we're going to file that. I think we were looking at April 15th to get enough plaintiffs on board to file that, because that's more than enough time to adjudicate the case for the end of the year. For those that, and there may be some that we be able to now in April be able to file their adjustment of status because the movement has gone on so long. Jess, I know you've been on with our friend Britt Simon, the premier expert. I mean, really, truly, the nation's expert on the diversity lottery.
He's here.
He's with you. That's totally awesome. We should have got him on today.
He asked a question.
So I asked him last week, how are you figuring out? I mean, I know how they in the past have found out how many DVs are being issued. And he said, it's something that's interesting to me, which I did not know until he told me this, was that one, I knew the Department of State they haven't issued any statistics since August. So we have no statistics from fiscal year 2026 on any visas. We don't have any visa information for this fiscal year. But you used to be able to, and this is how Simon got it, is they could go into the system and pull it. I don't know how he did it. He's a computer dude. So they figured out that about 7,000 diversity visas have been issued up until December 23rd, when they stopped issuing visas. And on January 1st, they changed the system so you could no longer see what's issued through the public-facing sphere. So in some ways, it's much harder to litigate all these cases that involve Department of State because we don't have data. Now, USCIS has always been a quarter behind in data. They're always a quarter behind. So we don't know what they've done this quarter, but we know what they did the first 3 months of the year before the bans hit. So while we could wait for discovery and say, produce this information, we have a pretty good idea that nobody's got a diversity visa since December 23rd, 2025, for example. We have a really good idea that absent independent litigation, nobody's gotten a visa in the 75-country ban case at all, except for private litigation like Jesse talked about. So these are all things that we want to change, and we think we've got really good cases on this. But I would encourage anybody who hasn't joined yet to look at our IMMpact page for those cases that we are currently onboarding, and we will go from there. You guys have any questions, concerns, comments? I do have comments, by the way. I don't know if you guys can see the comments or not, but some folks have hopped on and asked some questions. So let's answer a couple of those if we can. Taha says, if they're going to find a way to deny these cases, then what is the definition of retaliation? Retaliation is denying it just because you filed the lawsuit. That's the difference, in my opinion.
And I guess to clarify there, they're looking for reasons to deny. They're not like making unlawful decisions. It's it's not that they're saying, deny this case for any reason, just, find whatever you can and put it on the piece of paper. It's more like look into everybody's history, fine tooth comb, look for anything that's a discrepancy. We're going to be vetting people to the nth degree. It's not where you filed a lawsuit, so you're denied.
All right.
I think that's exactly right. They will, if there is a reason to deny, they're not going to have any forgiveness, regardless of whether you were a plaintiff or not. So it's not going to be retaliation. It's just going to be the hard line that they are applying to every case now.
Yeah, mercy is gone. Javert is running the show at the USCIS. Jean Valjean has left the building.
Another literary reference.
Another literary reference for all you Victor Hugo fans. Mohammed Tarek, hi sirs. Pause rate has been was agreed to be challenged in the DD pause lawsuit. We can't challenge the 75-country pause until we get the judge to order them to adjudicate diversity visas. If we tell the judge that he has to do both at the same time, we don't know what he would end up doing. So we would rather get the diversity first and then work on the 75-country pause.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way it has to go is you have to get an order right? And then you're going to work it out with the government. They're going to say, okay, well, we have 5 months to get through these plaintiffs, and we'll do that. And then what the government's going to do is come back and say, oh, these 5 people have this other issue, and then we can then go to the judge and say, well, that is insane, and we have a case on that. Here you go. So it's not as if we're ignoring that issue. It's that issue has to be secondary because this group case is DV first, and then other things second. So it's not that we're ignoring it. It's just that not everybody in this case is subject to that 75 country ban. Or the 212F proclamations that are out there, the entry bans as well. I mean,
Jesse, I have a question for you. Do you know who's addressing the 212F bans? Has any attorney generals gotten together? I'm not aware of any suits that are addressing that very larger, very expensive, complicated issue. Are you?
I think
on 212F, just the 212F.
We did it for the Iranian students up in Massachusetts. That's the Rusty case that we haven't talked about. So we're doing that. And then, the H-1B case is a 212F case. And then the states did get involved and file their own case in Massachusetts. I don't know where that case is sitting.
I haven't heard word one about that for quite some time.
I mean, the problem with the proclamations listen, the proclamations were at the heart of the 2020 and 2021 DV lawsuits. And, we had to end up splitting the pot a little bit and getting visas, even though we couldn't overcome the entry bans. I mean, I think, the 75 country made up policy by Rubio is one thing, but the proclamations, the entry bans are a real issue. I mean, those are difficult to, as we've seen in the H-1B, if we can't get it reversed in the H-1B case, and we can't
get it reversed anywhere.
It's going to be tough.
Think the key with that, in my view, Trump versus Hawaii, every judge will say Trump versus Hawaii. They have complete authority, just like the judge in D.C. said. But the big difference, if you can get a judge to focus on it, the Trump versus Hawaii guys, there were exceptions. These national interest exceptions, and they didn't cover parents, and there are no exceptions now. And I think that is the administration trying to get further power in 212F. And it will have to go to the Supreme Court on that issue unless you get a really, really, really brave district court judge. So good question. Dennis, good to see you. We want to excuse Aaron. By the way, Aaron is working on the preliminary injunction draft, so we're going to excuse him today. And Jonna is, I'm sure, working on the declarations that she has to get together. Hi, everyone. Do you have any idea about the judge? If you know the DV pause stories. Judge Ali is a 2024 Biden appointee. Super intelligent dude. He's an excellent lawyer. I think he's a very fair judge, but he is 100% aware of the DV issues. There's no doubt about that. Jess and I were talking about this offline. I think that's why he said, "You want to be part of this? Get your the PI in now."
Well, I think there are hard questions. DV, if you look at that Gomez case that I don't know if people are going to look at it, but that case it wasn't just diversity visas, it was everything. And we lost everything except DV because DV is different. And so you can't just put your pencils down because, Cinderella, you're going to turn into a pumpkin here on September 30th at midnight,
Go.
Go.
The Go case, that was the key. Position stuck due to H-1 tax, hoping for something. It's true. It is a tax. That is the word we need to keep using on this, by the way. Tax. Britt Simon. Oh my God, there he is. How are you doing?
What's he saying?
Okay, we gotta same thing. We gotta get the DV unstuck first. And then we'll get the 75 country pause.
Yeah, we're not ignoring the pause. It's just that there's only so many things we can bite off at one time, and we wouldn't want to move for a preliminary injunction on a 75 ban pause that's going to affect 10% of our plaintiffs because that's not going to be helpful, right?
Right.
We have to do what's in the interest of the group. I mean, I say this all the time when people are like, oh, I want to join a group lawsuit. I'm like, okay. And you're thinking of the legal fees, and that's great. You should do that. But you have to understand, you also join a group, and you have to become a little bit faceless because everybody's interests have to be aligned together. And I know everybody has separate issues, but we have to fight for the one thing that we need in this case, in addition to those other things that will come up after we win that one thing. So, yeah.
Mohammed Territory is not a ban. It will be difficult to join two different fees. So we'll get that. So Chuck mentioned, oh yeah, so a little conversation going on here. And Greg's in on the conversation. Thank you, Greg. Let's see. I have a question on behalf of our DV litigation group. Some plaintiffs are affected by the 70. We already spent a long time talking about this in the contract. We talked about that too. Cannot be combined. We can't address both issues at the same time. You got to do the DV first. All right. These are all those questions about that. Is it possible the lawsuit will be consolidated with Curtis's IMMpact's DV consular? So the judge is treating these cases on the same track by having us file our PI on Friday. Doesn't mean they're combined, but it'll be like Good Luck and Go in 2021. There's separate arguments, separate issues in each case, separate plaintiffs in each case, but a decision will likely be rendered that will affect all the plaintiffs.
Just to clarify, this is also asking if the DV-AOS case would be consolidated, and no, I think those would be treated pretty separately.
No, DV-AOS will be separate, yeah. I'm not even sure we're going to file that in DC, actually. So, which pause do you believe is easier, the DV-39, the DV, the 39, or the 75? None of them's easy. I mean, I think they all smack of the same problem. That is, the government is doing something they're not allowed to do.
Well, I think the other thing too is what people need to think about. The pause, the 75 public charge policy is something that occurs at the interview, because I have clients who've gone into the interview, and what they say to them is this: you're eligible, but we have this public charge issue. Sometimes they ask for additional financial documentation. Sometimes they don't, but they say, listen, we can't really do this until that public charge issue is resolved. At the DV pause, you may get an interview. I haven't seen many people get them recently, but it's a flat out, they don't think you're eligible. Like so it's no work is being done. So I think that if I were going to look at it like in the process, the DV pause is front end, no work being done. The 75 ban is after you're eligible. Like the 75 ban doesn't matter if you don't have a visa that's current, but the pause is absolutely going to affect that, because they're not putting anything to work right now across the board for these particular applicants. So I know everyone's has to navigate 2, maybe 3 bans, but I think what we need to do is, it's like peeling an onion, I guess. We have to remove one layer at a time.
All right. Can't do it all at once. Atelsa, if I filed my 485 in February, I-140 is approved, can I join the lawsuit? Yeah, that's the 39. That's 39. That's 75. That's the 39 country ban that is closing tomorrow, right, Zach?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. And Jesse did say that he'd got individual cases approved on the ban from BAM countries. Yes, he did. Because Jesse's amazing. It's not
superhero work. I'm not the ones who filed their petitions or applications or anything. I don't do that stuff. The reality is, and this is the way we live in today's society. One person gets denied who filed a lawsuit, that gets put on Snapchat, and now everybody gets it, versus if those applications had been approved, and then everyone would be like, every application is going to be approved. The reality is, you're going to be judged according to your application and what you submitted. And, I think it's a reminder of that if you win a lawsuit, it doesn't mean you win your green card. I mean, that's the reminder.
I mean,
So,
the point, nobody's talking about Bowser and the plaintiff they're getting their benefit after the PI being granted.
Great point. Great point.
So for someone applying through marriage, a U.S. citizen only beneficiary name is enough. The affected individual, which would be the foreign national, should be the main plaintiff in the litigation. If you're joining the 39-country ban litigation, it's the foreign national spouse that needs to be the plaintiff, not the U.S. citizen spouse. One of the 4 cases you mentioned, you have managed. Jesse already talked about that. He's not going to name the cases for sure. Just everybody look them all up. Red Eagle have both those in their case. If Ali is already looking at that in case they're combining the impact. Well, Britt, we all have our strategies, and they're not always the same. We think we have a great strategy to pursue this for our plaintiffs. So we'll see what the judge does. Let's see, which YouTube channel is this broadcast on? I don't think we have this on a YouTube because we haven't started an IMMpact YouTube channel, but I guess we should do that. We'll talk to Kirby. Greg, you're muted.
We do have an IMMpact YouTube channel, Chuck.
Oh, we need to get that onto StreamYard so we can stream to it. That'd be a good idea.
We'll talk after.
Sarah Parker is an Iranian. I don't think you spell that name the same way in Iran. Filed for a green card through marriage. Oh, through marriage. It's your name is enough, Sarah. That's good enough. Okay. All right. When will your next slide be? We're going to try to do these weekly, going through these litigations to give everybody a chance to participate and get questions answered and to give you live updates. It's easier to do everybody all at once rather than it is to do 6 different or 8 different Zoom calls. Plus, Zoom is problematic in that it limits the number of people on the call and it cuts you off after a period of time, whereas here on StreamYard, which is what we use to broadcast that, we don't have this situation. My I-140 is approved, and I did premium, and it's been 100 business days. Yeah, I have sad news for you. They don't care about the premium processing anymore. They don't care. And after they approve your case or deny your case, they might send you your money back. But premium processing, I would no longer waste money on that. And Shan, the last question here, is the HB lawsuit has the strongest argument. It's a really good, they're all good. We don't bring garbage lawsuits. Right? So we think it's a really good lawsuit. I get one more. Do you think I should join? I don't know which lawsuit you're talking about. Don't pretend I can see your previous comments because I can't. I don't know what it is. All right, everybody. It's been great to be live with you. Next week we'll be back with all of our bands next week to talk about our stuff. We'll see you then. Probably be the same time, 6 o'clock on Wednesday evening. And we'll see you guys then. Have a great night. Thank you, everybody. There we go. Oh, it's almost ending. It's that new